Hey everyone, guess what? Oh my God, we're here with Nico from Aphea. You should check him out. Aphea, what a great fucking what a cool name first. And second, like the sound that you have that you've crafted is when I look for like post rock, it is right where I want to be. Like there's enough atmosphere where you can just kind of float with the song, but not too much where you're like, what's going on next? I think the songs are really well crafted. So the album Ego and Archetype came out in 24, correct?
Yeah, it was December 24, right before Christmas last year, actually.
Nice.
And right now we're recording the second album. We just started 2 weeks ago. We record everything in this place. So this is my basement, my home. With a band, we're rehearsing in a proper rehearsal studio. But often I have from the rehearsals, I take some of the pieces that are more like interesting. Then we work them out more on the computer. And then we plan a proper recording here in the basement. That's how we did the first album, and we're gonna do the same this time too.
Uh,
So it's going on right now. I can tell you more after, like again, because I'm quite excited. I'm into this process of now making it more and more real, this more creative process. I will be happy to talk about this a bit more later.
awesome. Well, so you just blew my mind. I love, Ego and Archetype, and now something else. I'm like, oh my God,
Mm.
more music? Yeah.
Look, it all started. Maybe I can talk about a bit how the project, the band came up. So I
Please.
had and with my very good friend who's the bass player, Dimitri. We used to play in bands for a long time here in Geneva. More in the more indie punk rock scene. We did quite lots of concerts, which were more party-like. We're doing also because we're part of the expat community here. We had the Puerto Rican guitar player, and so we throw in Italian singer singing Italian song, and then Spanish, and so we try to make it more like international and to bring people together, and also it was a more extrovert and like party like seeking atmosphere. It was a band that lasted for 6-7 years. We did this, and then it ended with COVID, and because all rehearsal space were closed, no concerts were made for at least a year or so. And I think also in our lives, it was a moment when we started like growing older, let's say, and I think that the creativity started the focus of creativity started to change. And for me personally, it became a more and more introvert thing. So I remember that in the pandemic, I recorded with my brother, who lives in Greece. We did sessions overnight and recorded black metal demos just for fun, just to spend the anxious nights of the pandemic. And then it slowly turned into I went into like ambient guitar playing, so with lots of pedals and atmospheres, less than the typical, let's say, rock or heavy metal guitar playing. And slowly I came up with some ideas that started to feel interesting, and I said, okay, I'll start building some songs, and it gradually happened. Like we made it into that first album. But what brings us to the second one that's coming is that it still comes, even the second one comes from like ideas that happened, around from 21 and on. So it's
Yeah.
like scarce ideas that were slowly being brought together. Um, there was what I really tried to do the first album was to make it quite coherent as an album, to have like a flow through the songs, like to have a feeling of storytelling. And I think that's like that was the goal, and for many
I
people to
think you
like
did a I think you did a great job with that. It
that.
I think it's very hard for people to like craft a full album that has really solid flow, like where you don't feel like, okay, I'm kind of over this, I'm ready for whatever's next. You're
Mhm.
just like, I can put the album on and listen to it from start to finish, and there's never a point for me where I'm like, this is so boring, or I don't like this. Like I absolutely enjoy the fucking journey for real,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Now that we're talking about it, it's interesting because I think also it has been these last years that I started enjoying more listening to full albums rather than songs or playlists and stuff like that. I even had like I started exploring again albums that I really liked in my adolescence, but that I knew the two, three cool songs, but I didn't really like deeply dig into the whole album journey. And so I started doing that quite regularly. Uh, and I think that also pushed me towards this direction to make something that's more for someone that's gonna dive into a journey for like 40 minutes,
Yeah.
not just like something that changes over a playlist and jumps from one thing to another.
That's where, like for me, when I listen to an artist, I'm like, oh, I want to listen to this band and I'm going to listen to this album. And that's how I listen to music. Like I don't do singles or shuffle or, random. I'm not real big on playlists unless I craft it, because my playlists are full album, full album, full album. I think that a lot of the music that I listen to or like to listen to, that is how they're supposed to be listened to. Like, and I think back to um, the bands I grew up with, like Pink Floyd is a big one. Their albums, when you listen to it, it's not I listen to a single. It's you listen to the album because it's a story and it's a journey, right? And it's even
It,
the same way when we get into like heavier music,
Mhm.
Metallica, Slayer, etc. And that's also, to me, that's how the albums are supposed to be listened to.
Yeah, and also what I think what as listeners, what we tend to like cherish the most and remember the most are albums that have no fillers, that you see that every part of the album has its purpose. When you have great bands, for example, and you think about what's your favorite album is the one that you would listen from start to the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I always feel I think that's one of the things that always made me shy away from more like pop oriented music, because I felt like they were very single driven. We're going to have two or three singles and then the rest is whatever, you know? So,
It's like the
uh,
difference between like a novel and a nice article that you can read in 5 minutes,
yeah,
for example.
yeah,
It needs more effort and more investment from the creator and from the audience, but then it tends to have a deeper. It touches us in a deeper way.
yeah, it's a much deeper connection. So,
Mm.
like for you, how do you feel writing this music compared to what you wrote and performed before?
Um, I don't. Well, it was a change. Like back, especially in the past, I was mainly drummer in bands, so I was playing mostly the drums. I always played the guitar a bit, but this time I really focused to like composing more because it's quite guitar oriented the album. Um, I don't know. It is quite a change, but people change, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have phases in our lives that there are things that are appealing to us, and then suddenly they don't make so much sense. I've seen people abandon music or some a hobby that they have, for example, when they experience this kind of changes in life. Or other, I think my way was to try to approach music in a different way. Um, Yeah,
like
and it's
challenging yourself.
yeah, but I mean, I think I became conscious of it after it happened. It started already happening, you know. It started. The party was over suddenly. The rehearsals were over, so I had to find something to do with music. And I didn't like naturally was no, there was no point. I think into trying to I don't know compose a punk rock album, which is more like extroverted music that you meet people in concerts and I don't know drink and share and in that sense. So I think that I was in a much more introverted state, and I managed to make this creative without like how can I say? Yeah, it was approaching music in a different way, just like this.
It's it's cool to like. I find it really interesting when people like change direction. They're going down this road and then boom, like um, Chuck
Also, all
Reagan.
my favorite artists always did that.
Yes.
Now that you mentioned it, some of my favorite bands always had a controversial moment, that they would come out with an album that no one was expecting, and there was
Yeah.
like the hardcore fans would be disappointed.
Always. Yep.
My
It's
favorite Metallica album is Load, for example,
that
which
is
is
very
for anyone,
controversial.
for example. And back then when it came, I think I didn't even dare to admit it back then. But now, in retrospect, it's the one that I have listened the most because I find that yeah, I like it more. I can understand that older fans of Metallica were like very surprised by that change back then, but like
Well,
aesthetically or artistically, that's what I liked most. And I had this with several other bands who changed. Paradise Lost when they switched more to like what the 1 Second album, which was kind of purely gothic rock. Let's say I enjoyed that album a lot. Uh, and it was I don't know the endeavor of an artist that does change without caring about disappointing the others. I find it always very like I always admired that, I think, in a way.
so that's something that I enjoy also, and I'm gonna be like hypocritical for a second because I also I'm an older like Metallica fan. Like I love those first four albums. Kill 'Em All was very much like just straight thrash. Like it was fast. Let's do this. And it's funny going through. You go Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, and all four of them are different, like very different. So they like they grew as artists and as writers through that whole process. And then like the Black Album came out, and that was the album for me. I was like, what?
That
You know?
already.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And I tried because I was a fan. I really tried to listen to it, but I couldn't get into it. And now, I mean, what are they? They're like 15, 17 albums in or whatever it is. It's, they had their change. They've always evolved, which is
Mm,
so wild to me. Um, Same thing with Deftones. I love Deftones. And there's not, if you listen to their music, you listen to any album and you can tell this is, any song off that album, you're like, this song is off this album. There's no doubt in my mind. They also have always evolved regardless of what people say, and
mm.
like those two bands
While at
alone
the
are
same time
so.
keeping their identity, right?
Yep.
That's the idea. To have, I think, in any kind of art, it's important to have a core of identity that then evolves. I would say with the along with the personality of the life of the artist.
Well, yeah, I mean the music should grow,
There
but
are some that can do the same thing, from 16 to the end of their lives, do exactly the same thing in a very cool way. I don't know, Lemmy did it, for example, or others have done
AC/DC.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, and that's fine too. But I don't know. I personally find it interesting to that if I kind of experience change in life, it has to be how you say transmitted, communicated too.
I think it's a fair way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't all stay the same forever. We constantly change, you know. We are the sum of, you know, the good and the bad things that happen to us from day to day. So it's you know, the music should change with it.
Indeed,
Hmm.
yeah.
So is there much change between album one and what you have coming up?
We have to see. I think I really like the idea that the band has a kind of personal sound, you know, and a kind of identity that a listener can realize that it's the same band. I can recognize that, and I think this is there. Um, we still, I mean, we don't have, I don't have a very clear image of how things will end up because we have just the first demos of the tracks and we're working on them now. But we will try to keep what we created this first album as like sound identity. A difference that we might try to do is to maybe I'll use less layers of guitars than the first album. In retrospect now, some of the tracks are really heavily dense, you know, like there's three, four layers of guitars with lots of effects and stuff. And I think it's cool because it makes it, for the first time, it was cool because it made a kind of immersive experience of the more ambient style of post rock. Um, Maybe we'll try to be more minimalistic in the guitars this time. That is one thing. Another thing is that I was thinking to add some analog synthesizer sounds. I listened lots of electronica and especially like proto electronica from the 70s, early 80s, experimental electronic music and stuff. And I think that this can also fit with the more introspective ambience of post rock. So this
Yeah.
is going to be at least in some parts of the new tracks. There's going to be this, but we'll see. You'll be one of the first to know when we have a more clear result. I promise you, you'll be one of the first to hear it.
Yeah, it's exciting. I you know, for years I liked this style of music and I didn't really know I didn't know that it was called post rock. And I found that out, I don't know, maybe like 13, 14 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I dig it. So it allowed me to dig in deeper and find these other bands. And um, there are elements on Ego and Archetype that reminds me of This Will Destroy You and,
Mm.
you know, like explosions in the sky. And it's like, it's familiar without like, God, how do I say it? It's familiar without being like a ripoff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, a copy. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it was to a certain extent this was intentional. That I don't know. You know, if you compare how people learn to play a music style now and how it was, I don't know, 25 years ago, before YouTube, for example, it's much different. You know, you can a 16-year-old guy can put on YouTube how do I make a post-rock song, and like in 5 minutes you'll have all the elements.
yeah,
Do this guitar, add delay here, delay there, make a crescendo, and quite easy. Uh, so I think it was important to us to be as authentic as possible, not to try to copy, not to. Of course, there remains, you know, there are similarities for sure, But the idea was not to copy something, but to choose like a genre, and in this particular one to like make a quite personal and authentic proposal, let's say.
Well, I think that's what really gets me with a lot of like post rock, because it is like the music is very, very personal, and it's meant for every individual to en to experience it in their own way, right?
Yeah.
Like I went to I was at a festival last year, Post Fest, and who was it? This Will Destroy You was there, and they were doing the You Infinite album in its entirety, and I got to watch people like dance to it. I watched other people cry to it, and
Yeah.
like it's like it's so beautiful that everyone can experience it in their own way, and there's no judgment. No one gives a shit, you know?
And that's what I meant when I used the term introvert before. That's what I mean, in the sense
Yeah.
that the experience is more of an impressionist, like if we use like other more like in painting, for example, is the impression that the listener, the audience gets from what is going on, and then it doesn't matter so much what clothes you're wearing, or like the communication with the crowd, or like if there are big visuals or fireworks in the back.
Yeah.
Uh, that the idea is
It,
that it creates a very personal, as you said, experience of the music, and that's like it takes away all the unnecessary stuff that would be distraction in a way.
yeah. I mean, some shows I go to, I'm like, okay, I know I can't be up close because I don't want to be hit. So I want to,
Yeah.
stand back away from everything. But, in this world, it's so different. Like one of the coolest things at Post Fest was there was one kid, and I call him a kid just because he's probably in his 20s, and here I am like 50-ish, like um we're at the pre-show, and there's some distance between us who's standing in the front and the stage, and he said, "Do you mind if I get in front?" No, go ahead. Like it's there, right? Like, and he just gets there and he starts dancing,
Mm.
and he's going to town, and um it was so amazing. And I promise you, every set that I watched, I looked for him,
Yeah.
and I found him, and he enjoyed every second. I mean, some of the bands he's singing the top of his lungs, and some he's just
In
dancing,
his
and it
own
was
way,
like,
huh?
yeah,
Like
it was like
out of the norm, let's say that's how we're supposed to do in such a setting. He did his own way. Yeah.
that's how it should be, right? Like we should be
Indeed.
able to experience something the way we want, and as long as we're not like out there hurting people and what have you, we, there should be like no judgment on the experience. Like, and that
Mm.
was, I think that's probably what draws me to more to like post rock, because of like we can just go and enjoy it. If you want to dance, you can dance. If you want to sit down and watch the band, you can absolutely do that too. It's
Yeah. As it goes also with the how to say with the music. The music has
yeah,
less rules in post rock rather than, let's say, a typical heavy metal track or concert. So I think it goes the same with the experience of the audience. Music is more free to you can do kind of whatever you want. It's more experimental. It's less bound by rules. So in the same way, the concert can also be more less rules and more like the personal experience of the individual.
yeah, you're absolutely right. That is exactly it. So what post rock bands are you listening to right now?
Lately, not too much, to be honest. I've listened to lots of post-rock. I would say since I was 20 till age, I don't know, 35, 36 or so. Bands that I really like were Mogwai, for example.
Okay.
Uh, Explosions in the Sky to a certain extent. Mono is the Japanese band. It's
I love Mono. They're drummers from here.
they're particularly artistic and like they have a real artistic focus and they're really inspired and it's a great band. This Will Destroy You were very good. I don't think I've listened to all of their albums, but the one or two that are this thick, like layers of reverb and very slow, these were very inspiring for me. And another band that I really like is Caspian.
Caspian
That's
are really good.
I think I think when I worked on more like properly on the songwriting of this first album, I think they were the most inspiring ones because I tried to study a bit the way they layer up the guitars and the way they build do the build ups and the crescendo. So it's uh, about if we talk about methodology in a way, I think Caspian were quite inspiring to me.
Yeah. I could absolutely see that. I think that's, it's so cool to listen to like the all the different bands even in a single style of music because they do it so differently, especially in like post rock. Some they really like there's this atmosphere that you can just like float in, and others like tighten that up so it kind of forces you on this journey a little bit.
Yeah, and
Um,
it allows, I think, the band to create its own character, like to have its own signature more easily than in other styles.
yeah,
Where, I don't know,
absolutely.
if you in the metal scene, for example, if you don't play like this or like that, you can easily get out of the boundaries of the genre, and then people get, I don't know, they don't know how to categorize you, and it's not convenient for them. But in
Yeah,
Postal, you see that all these bands that we mentioned, they play instrumental rock. That's the basis, but they have a completely different sound or character, or the way
yeah,
they compose. Uh, but for example, my all-time favorite band was Anathema, who have been like started from death metal and evolved into progressive rock, let's say, passing from more Radiohead albums, more like Pink Floyd-like albums. That they have always been my number one favorite band, constantly evolving and changing and experimenting with different styles. Um, so I think for example, in chord progressions, in the way I would play, come with chords or melodies and stuff, Anathema are always in there too.
that's super cool. That's you know that I like when an artist like goes outside of what they I say artist, but like my first thought is like Alex Skolnick, who is a tremendous guitar player, very talented in the metal world and very talented in the jazz world. So so I had a conversation with them like, hey, what do you think this does? He said, really, like knowing the jazz just gives me more tools in the metal world, so it allows me to craft better. And I'm like,
And
oh,
probably
that
vice versa. Like
right,
it's a bit like alchemy, you know. He's mingling like in with his personality, the two different styles, and comes up with something that's unique. That's great.
yeah, it's
It's
it's it's
much great
yeah,
talent, like of Skolnick's, of course. Yeah.
yeah. It's cool to see. It's cool to see people learn stuff so they can um, not only like progress their knowledge, but craft just a little bit differently than what other people do. Victor Wooten, I think, is very much like that as well, as far as like bass players go. He's an absolute nut to like hear him talk about playing. And I mean that in a good way, right? Like he's so knowledgeable. I don't know. I don't know why I got on this kick about musicians. I'm just
It's an interesting one because what I've noticed since also you're making podcasts about music, I find that the interest of people, like of the audience, is much more focused now in the experience of the musician, like let's say the psychological experience of the musician, rather than his technique, you know. From
yeah.
what I see now at podcast, is not anymore so much interesting which amplifier are you using or which equipment did you use, but like what made you play music, what made you like jazz or metal or this or that, and then it makes much more sense. I think it becomes much more interesting for people to see like what are the aspects beyond the technique, you know, or beyond the practicing that
Yeah.
make it very interesting.
Well, I think for me, that was something that I always connected to with people. Like I always look for a connection with people. I really like people. So like I want to connect with them. And how do I connect by other than like finding out about their life and like their actual life? Like there's not that many amps in the world. So you don't have a whole lot of amps to choose from, right? How many people can talk about, well, I use an orange head with a Marshall stack or, whatever. Like to me, that's like, I'm not, uh, one, I'm stupid as shit, like when it comes to technicality of music, but I know what I like,
Mhm.
you know? So it's that was something I always was drawn to as a kid was I want to read the stories of the people. I love the music, but I want to know like the psyche behind it,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Same thing with serial killers. I love serial killers, but
Or with
what
my association with was painters, great painters,
right.
for example. You don't often stay only to the painting. Ah, this is a nice painting, but what was the context around it? What's the story with Van Gogh and schizophrenia, for example, or stuff
Yeah.
like that? That makes
Yeah.
the twists much more interesting.
Well, because it's that's where we feel connected, you know? Like the music to me, music is the great unifier. So cool. We're all brought together. And like one of the, everyone's watching America, right? So obviously there's so much division here right now that it's mind boggling. Like if I can talk to you and get people to realize, oh, this person likes the same bands as me, or you know what, they wanted to play music because of this, this thing that's why I wanted to play music. Well, it it brings us closer together as
Sure,
humans,
for
and
sure.
it hopefully it draws more people to the artist to go, you know what, like I really enjoyed how he crafted his answers to those questions, so let's dig into the music a little bit
Mhm.
more.
For sure. And I think if we go back to post-rock, if we compare it to other genre, it has even more advantage in this because it's instrumental. So it might appeal, I don't know, to people from Mongolia or Africa or people who are not exposed into Western music and the typical rock music with English lyrics, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, I think like classical music does, or electronic music sometimes has this. Like the lack of lyrics, the focus on pure music, pure sound, often can be more unifying in a sense because you don't have the linguistic barrier there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that. I did not turn my phone on do not disturb. I got to do that. I've been getting like 10 texts. I'm like, oh god, stop.
Mhm.
Stop. So like what, let's say like 2 years down the road, where would you like to see Aphea be?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The thing is that we came up. I'm the main composer, but together with the other guys in the band, we came up with quite a lots of demo material. So we made the first album, but there was still lots. So we said, okay, let's go on. Let's continue the recording, not to take too much time in between. So I think the process of creating the songs, of the compositions, of recording, is something that we enjoy a lot. So that's why we're kind of on a roll and continue like a year later just to do a second album. The other thing, I mean, we're in a phases of life that touring or doing something more like investing even more time in this would be rather difficult.
Mhm.
But I would imagine that we could would if we would play 2-3 times per year in specific settings live, that would be great. I think with having constantly recording albums and 2 or 3 cool concerts to present them per year would be great. What I've noticed is that in Europe you don't have festivals like the Post Festival that you mentioned anymore. Like the last 5-6 years, I think the festivals that were more post-rock oriented turned toward more, psychedelic stoner rock, this kind of stuff, which is very popular in Europe.
So Dunk isn't Dunk
Black
very
is the
like
only
post?
one that's still kind of, it's still, I think, like this. But Roadburn in the past, for example, was more, I think it was kind of more post-rock oriented.
What about the
Um,
one that Pelagic puts on? That's very like post rock oriented as well.
which one?
Pelagic. Hold on, I gotta look because I don't know the name. Are you? Uh, let's see. I feel like I hate when I have to do this, but well, I guess it's called Pelagic Fest.
Pelagic. Okay. From the Pelagic Records company.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't know they do fest. I've heard about the Dunk one. Have some people that I know that play in other bands that have participated there. But yeah, something in these lines would be nice. I think if we would play a festival or two per year, that should be enough.
Yeah, I mean, the music that you all create, it's like right in line with what Pelagic does, which is like they're one of my favorite labels.
Mm.
Of course,
They're very good, but
Mono and
you've noticed that there are not many labels in this genre anymore. In Switzerland, you have Humus Records, who also has very good bands and a quite big roster. Pelagic Records was kind of the biggest ones in this genre. I was talking to someone who worked in one of these labels in the past, and he was telling me that everyone's quite disappointed because people buy less records, kind of less merchandise. The concerts are quite cool, but I mean, you need logistics and like lots of planning around them.
yep,
But they were saying that there was, I say, they were kind of disappointed of the feedback that these record labels have now, comparing it to 10 years ago.
sure. I mean, I think it's like everything; it's going to ebb and
Exactly,
flow.
like every genre. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I would imagine worldwide that the economy is things are tight for people, so they're not going to spend as much money. But I mean, the fans, I think the people who are fans of this kind of music are still like they're still spending the money. They're going to the shows.
Yeah,
They want to
yeah.
see the
I try
records
to
and
do this when I want to go to a concert to buy something from the merchandise. You know that's the way that the band supports itself. So it's
yeah,
important to support. I think also for people in all kinds that are in all kinds of alternative music, um, this was always a rule. I mean, from the underground tapes, demo tapes of the 90s. to now, like you have to support the underground somehow.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. I think for people when they go to shows, I always try to tell everyone, like, I'm like, dude, go buy a shirt, whatever, from the band. Because, I mean, if you like the band, go buy something from them. You came to the show. Don't just spend your money at the bar. Like, it's cool because we need the bars to keep going, but we also want the bands to keep going,
Yeah,
you know?
indeed. And often it's more important for the support groups, that are starting or like they're getting there.
Yeah,
So they're the ones that need more support.
for sure. It's really cool. We were at a show, it's probably 2 or 3 months ago, and my daughter and her friend were there. And the opening band is actually this band, Lordship.
Mhm.
And they're great. They're so good. They're just like, in my mind, they're caveman doom. Like that's all I want. But so they play, and I'm over there talking to the guys, and my daughter and her friend come over, and they're like, "Can we buy shirts?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, you can. Buy whatever you want." So they each like bought some merch, and I was just like, "Yes,
It's important to see how it's supposed to work, the thing, how it support the artist to be part of the movement and all this. Yeah.
yeah, for sure." It's super cool to see the younger kids like actually out there doing the thing too, right?
I'm glad
Like,
to hear that you see like you have younger people coming in courses. That I have to tell you that my experience around Europe, it's not like that. All the especially in the metal scene, uh, what I see is like people around my age, like 40-year-old are in the crowd. It's very rare to see young 20-year-olds coming to a concert.
hmm,
Uh, in Greece, it's still like rock is quite strong in Greece, but then the bands that would go now, it's still bands that were very popular in the 90s. You have Halloween and Blind Guardian coming every summer playing Greece, which is great. I mean, it's also nostalgic and very cool. But
yeah.
in Switzerland, when I live for the last 15 years, in rock and metal concerts, there's no young people at all. I think they're all turned towards hip hop or electronic music, and it's very rare. And without young blood, it's difficult to motivate the whole scene.
Well, yeah, it's because we all get old, and if we're not bringing in the new people, like it will die off with, the youngest person. It's so I for me, what I've seen in the last 10 years is I watched the crowd get younger and younger and younger. Um I went to go see I Hate God in Nashville. And, you know, I've been listening to this band for 30 years. I go to shows and what I see is older people. We're all, I mean, shit, here I am around 50, like that's what I expect is I expect people around my age,
Yeah.
there. But the last time I went to see them, probably 40% of the crowd was sub 25.
That's very good. That's very good. And I'm saying this because I really felt disappointed these last years in concerts, especially around Switzerland or France, where I've been. The in Especially for metal concerts, the age is really everyone is aging. The bands and the crowd are aging without new blood coming. And so I'm glad to hear that in other places it's still interesting for the youngsters because they're gonna also make their own groups, bring their own music,
Yeah.
and go on. That would be great.
Yeah. It's how we perpetuate it, how we keep it going, is bring in that young blood. So
And
it's,
also, you renovate it. They will make it more interesting. We as oldies were gonna be, that's not so nice, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And they
yeah,
have to go through this, and that's how it works.
we're going to, we're going to be upset. That is not how it's supposed to sound. And they're like, no,
Yes, yes, yes. We are, but they like that's the
yeah,
way things are supposed to be. That the old
absolutely.
frustrated, and the younger ones still go through this and do their thing. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Okay, so do you guys have physical media or is it just released
Yeah,
digitally?
so we have the record, like a vinyl record version of the album. We only put it on Bandcamp, so anyone that wants, you can visit our Bandcamp page and they can order it from there. Or otherwise, they can drop us a line on the email of the band, and we will send it over. We only have printed 100 pieces of this. There's like some 20 left, I think, or so. So
Nice.
it's we really, when we decided like to publish the album, we really did not think of like sending it to labels and like making properly our way towards publishing. We said, let's self-publish it, let's print 100 vinyls, and for our friends or whoever wants to get it and see. But we had quite good feedback for some that went with no promotion at all. So yeah, there is the that's also the reason why we didn't do, merchandise, t-shirts, stuff like that. We wanted to see, let's put the music first out and see if people like it, if it's interesting, and then we'll continue from there.
Yeah, I think
So
people love it.
if anyone wants to order there, we still have some records available.
Sweet. Good. I need one. Uh,
For sure, I'll keep one for you.
um, is it colored?
No, we chose like black
Just black?
180, yeah, kind of more old school, simple as possible.
It's it's
Uh,
so rare to see like just a black record anymore.
Um, what when we were thinking about like, okay, we have the song, and now what's like how we should all the things that are around it, Do we do a website? Do we do an Instagram page? Do we do this or that? And then merchandise, and then maybe cups and maybe mugs and whatever. I don't know. My like our, let's say, motivation for this was really the love for composing music. In the
Yeah.
beginning was not even for playing live. We're just jamming, making our songs. So the I constantly, when it comes to thinking about these aspects, I constantly bring my focus to music. So my focus here was what's in which format is it supposed to work better, like listen for the listener, the quality, and it's black 180. All the rest have like sometimes if it's colored, you're not sure if it's consistent. The vinyl, it looks great. It's a very
Yeah.
nice object and memorabilia or whatever. But yeah, my idea is that always like to have the focus on the quality of the music.
Well, as it, I say as it should be, but I am also one of those people like I just I just got me records and I'm always looking for like what is the most unique one, so
I have to say it looks very nice.
it's the only one. It's the only one like this. All the rest are more like so I got 200. This is a band that we're putting out their album. Um but all the rest are like orange and with like red throughout. So I got this and I was like, "Oh, that one's mine." Like
Well, it's nice to go for something unique, and I think also in when we like everyone in life wants something to feel like more unique, that's something more special. That's great.
yeah.
It's
But there's also that time where you've got to I think people should focus on the music of a band. Like it's cool to have, merch. Like, yeah, I love merch. I love supporting the bands. I like seeing that happen. But if the music's not good, I don't want to support the
that's
band.
yeah. So also in a way, I thought this is not my job. If I don't know, I get an agent, booking a company, a label, or it's gonna be their job print T-shirts or special vinyl editions or whatever. Like my job was more to compose, to make this as good as I could, and then print it in a way that's the best one for the best possible for the listener as quality.
Yeah. I think that's know your place, right? Kind
Mm.
of, but the important thing is, first and foremost is that you're creating something that you enjoy. And it seems like you're really enjoying creating as Aphea right now. And it's, as a listener, I'm excited for what is to come down the road. I
Thank you
literally
very much.
just
Thank you very much. It's very kind.
I sent I sent your first album to some friends of mine. I was like, you guys have to fucking listen to this. And they're all like, yeah, we dig it. So
I'm very
um,
glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. That counts much more than buying T-shirt or buying this or that. You know, the people, the fact that there are people who have appreciated the music,
yeah,
it's all it counts from.
that is the most important thing. Okay, Nico, I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for allowing me this time to chat with you and learn about you and the band today.
Likewise, thank you very much. It's like it's really an honor to that you contacted me from. I don't know where are you exactly? You're in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm in Kentucky in the U.S.
Oh, nice, nice. So yeah, we're and also it's we have to be quite grateful for nowadays technology that allows all these things. An album
Yes,
comes here, and then we'll have a video call with the other side of the world, and we meet people that think likewise. It's very nice. We should be grateful for that.
I absolutely agree. It makes this huge world not so huge after all.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Thank you again. Thanks very much.
Yep. Have a great night.
Thank you. Goodbye.